Saints Row III Remastered was released in 2020, 9 years after its original release of the most insanely fun game in the Saints Row series. The events of the game takes place in 2014. Here's the official description. Years after taking Stillwater for their own, the Third Street Saints have evolved from street gang to household brand name, with Saint sneakers, Saint energy drinks, and Johnny Get bobblehead dolls, as well as comic magazines, all available at a store near you. The Saints are kings of Stillwater, but their celebrity status has not gone unnoticed. The Syndicate, a legendary criminal fraternity with pawns in play all over the globe, has turned its eye on the Saints and demands tribute. Refusing to kneel to the Syndicate, you take the fight to Steelport, a once proud metropolis reduced to a struggling city of sin under Syndicate control. Take a tank skydiving, call in a satellite-targeted airstrike on a Mexican wrestling gang, and defend yourself against a highly trained military force using only a sex toy in the most outlandish gameplay scenarios ever seen, igniting a citywide war that will set Steelport on fire. Saints Row III gives you control of the Saints at the height of their power, and you live the life to show for it. Instead of diving into its epically wacky campaign story, in this video I will have some fun penetrating through a different angle and extract what I think are the success rules, mindsets we learned from the boss in Saints Row 3. So strap it on and let's get started.
Put in your tampons and let's do this.
Mindset number 1. Be bold and think big. The boss is the undisputed leader of the Saints. He's a criminal mastermind, the living definition of a gangster, notorious for his ruthlessness, also an extremely unconventional psychopath. He's not afraid to do any crazy shit and whatever bloody work it takes to get what he wants. As the story of Saints Row III shows, the boss's character has mellowed after the Saints became international celebrities, busy running franchises of Planet Saints, selling cool clothes, making movie deals, and drifting away from the street gang life.
We traded our dicks in for pussies. Seriously. Movie deals, commercials. Saint's name used to mean something more than body spray and some ass-tasting energy drink.
He might not seem as ruthless as his younger self, but what remained the same in his DNA as a high-level criminal is his bold character and mindset of thinking big. Being a charismatic and pragmatic leader of the Third Street Saints, the boss is able to focus on the bigger picture, the things that really matter, that make a difference. He never cared about the petty details, but fully trusted his gang.
Okay, nerd time is over. What is this thing? And Kinsey, for fuck's sake, keep it simple.
I need the chair to stop the Deckers.
Thank you.
He turns his idea into massive and decisively bold action in a flash.
So what's the plan?
Head to Image's design. I got an idea.
Is it any good?
Does bold count?
With you? No.
He's a practical doer who refused to waste time on overthinking things that would get the fellow Saints unnecessarily cautious.
What's the plan here?
Simple enough. Put on gas masks, find the chemicals, neutralize them, and kill anyone on our way, alive or dead.
But for killing these zombies, what's the plan for that?
I'm not picky, as long as they stop moving.
If you want your life to be full of fun and hilarious action like the Saints, start thinking bigger like the boss. Life is too short to live small. The boss is so fun to play because we can forget about our daily mundane routines and get to play the fantasy high life of the Saints. But the truth is, we are also the mastermind of our own game of life. Our minds are able to take us through space and time to visualize and dream of a promising future that doesn't yet exist. However, visualizations without direction and action is only wishful thinking. Stop putting off your journey to success any longer. Take the initiative today with a burning desire. The key to becoming a badass leader is a sense of real passion and love.
No longer shall I hide from my one true love and her cause. Allow Shandi and I to be together, and I swear her enemies will be my enemies.
Oh, no, fuck, no. Don't even think about keeping this prick around. I will lose my damn mind.
Find the thing that you believe in and love doing so much from the depth of your soul that you just can't not do it or live without it. We all only have a few decades to live. Have faith that we can survive and thrive doing whatever we love doing. Believe and truly believe that you will achieve your dreams. When you believe, your mind finds ways to make it happen. The lack of belief in oneself is the greatest sin of all. Like the boss, the word impossible doesn't exist in his vocabulary.
That's an express elevator to the basement. There's no way to catch him. Fuck that.
That's why he always gets things done, even when shit hits the fan. Tell the naysayers and the same old tradition to fuck off.
What's to see except the epic failure that is the Saints?
Prove that idiot wrong. Come up with a bold plan and break them down into smaller bites of achievable goals. Sometimes we feel the lack of energy because our goals and dreams are not big and inspiring enough. The habit of petty thinking also drains a lot of energy. So next time when you catch yourself in petty worries, ask yourself, would the boss or an awesome person you admire worry about this?
What if they just shoot us?
You worry too much.
Chances are they don't give a fuck. So drop the petty worry and just have fun, moving towards your dream. When you start deliberately practicing the art of thinking big, eventually you'll be able to become your own boss, like the boss. Mindset number 2. Stash cash and pimp yourself up. In Saints Row 3, the Third Street Saints have gone from a small-time gang from the world to a large media empire with their own brand. Many key members of the Saints, like Pierce and Shaundi, have become celebrities and pop culture icons. Thanks to the power of the Saints, the boss enjoys a life of lavish, vain pursuit of pleasure.
Whatever.
Damn, girl! Life is for the living and shit! You know what I'm saying?
Throughout the game, the Saints understood money is circulation and the power of spending money strategically. The Saints never hoard money but would use any method in their madness to make more cash. They believed cash is king and use it to show their power and wealth in the materialistic and sin city of Steelport.
If we're gonna get a cash flow going, we'll need a business to funnel us money.
After their failed attempt at robbing a bank owned by the leader of the syndicate, Philippe Laurent, the Saints' bank account was hacked by the cyber gang Deckers and their money was cleaned out. Even they were literally broke, they refused to feel poor and came up with creative ways to fight back and make the syndicate pay.
Loren has to pay for what he did, and I want to be there when he gets what he deserves.
The boss, with help of Shaundi, raided a guard armory to secure high-tech military-grade weapons, then cruised around Steelport with Pierce, got a car pimped out, and bought some fancy clothing from Planet Saints. Later, the boss parachuted down like a hero in the movie onto the roof of a penthouse owned by the Morningstar, killed the rivals there and took over the penthouse as the Saints' headquarters, where Pierce and Zemos would frequently throw extravagant sex parties and orgies. They would stash cash in properties and businesses as soon as their gang's income turnovers. I'm not saying that living a glamorous, violent, and overindulgent lives like the Saints is an honorable way of living, but their wealth mentality is something that we could learn from and apply to our lives. The boss thinks big and demands a high standard of living, even in times of desperation.
And we gotta get a new place. That studio shit ain't working at all.
Pierce and Shaundi always look fancy and sexy, no matter what financial situation they are in.
Car's got some more style. Now it's our turn. Head to Planet Saints.
I don't know, man. That's like wearing the band's t-shirt to the concert.
Nothing wrong with wanting to look good.
Hey, I always look good.
This makes them feel more secure and awesome,
And I'm the best looking motherfucker in here.
convincing their own subconscious and everyone else. The Saints will always stand back up and fight. There will always be plenty of money to go around. When we stash cash, it does something to our confidence. We will possess peace of mind and worry less about money. This also allows us to spoil ourselves randomly to reward our hard work and pimp ourselves up. We don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars pimping out cars like the Saints. Just buying some nice clothes and quality suits will be a great boost to our confidence and lift our spirits. Appearance talks. When you look sharp, it helps you think sharp. The Saints also pimp up their gang's appearance and customize their gangs to look super intimidating. Everyone in the Saints feels and thinks like the boss when they are dressed in purple.
You'd prefer a more manly shade, like purple?
This generates a compounding cycle of earning even more respect and money. However, beware of falling into the trap of pursuing endless sinful pleasures like the Saints. Material desire is insatiable. We never feel we have enough in the pursuit of money and pleasure. Because of the law of diminishing returns, the moments of pleasure and satisfaction we get tend to get smaller through repetition. We need more and more of the same or new, even more kinky pleasures, which often pulls us down into addictions.
This is a rescue, right?
This ain't some elaborate setup for a gang bang.
Why you gotta put that image in my head, bro?
We become possessed by the things we crave and lose ourselves. The ultimate pleasure and fulfillment in life comes from staying true to our passion, becoming a unique individual, and realizing our full potential by following our own purpose and calling. In the end, making money is important, but not the saints' only focus. They care more about their reputation, their influence, and what they stand for.
Gilbane, it's just a match. It's my fucking reputation!
Mindset number 3. Always see the positive and have fun, even in tough times. The boss is one of the most positive and optimistic badass video game character to command respect from his fellow saints. The boss lead with a mix of don't give a fuck charisma, sarcastic humor, and positive motivation.
Talk to one of these guys. They'll have things for you to do. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
In times of tragedy and chaos after the death of Johnny Gat, the boss still never forgets that being happy and having fun is actually a necessity to keep moving the gang forward. He leads from the front and is always generous in his words of encouragement during the battle with his enemies.
It's a laser targeting system. Who wants to call down an airstrike?
Pierce, gold star for you.
Fuck right.
He insists to choose positivity and reject any negativity in his conversations.
Get it fixed! I'll hold off the cops.
Okay, kill them all?
I don't appreciate that kind of negativity.
Hey, I was thinking, we might die here. Anything you want to get off the chest?
Pierce, don't be so negative.
Thanks to his humorous character, he loves making jokes and keep the mood light, even in life and death situations.
Shondi, you got the place cleaned up yet?
What do I look like, the damn maid?
So that's a no then.
We're sitting on a bomb here and you're making jokes.
Someone needs a nap.
I feel ridiculous.
Really? I think it's sexy. Slutty, but sexy.
I didn't get a master's in economics to look like a slut.
Isn't it nice to know you can surprise yourself?
Positive and creative thinking also helps the boss see more opportunities in Steelport.
Wait. If I can't go up, then how? Oh. Right, penthouses.
He performs the most impressive and outrageous criminal stunts as he improvises and taps into his spontaneous and childlike creativity.
Is there a plan?
Go in, find Josh, get out.
I doubt it'll be that simple.
We're dressed as actors. We improvise.
The boss's positivity also infects his gang with hope, and even Shondi prefers to spread the good news first.
Good news? We've cleared him out. Bad news. The boys are saying this place is rigged to blow.
Despite the fact that he's a sociopathic murderer, he takes pride in his crimes and even finds it therapeutic sometimes.
This is therapeutic.
Our uncontrolled media and the good soul to our children have fetishized gang culture and turned sociopathic madmen into heroes. No more!
In this video, I'm not trying to fetishize gang culture and turn the boss of the Third Street Saints into a hero. I simply want to make the point that the benefits of positive psychology applies to everyone, and even villains from video games can be charming and possess positive qualities that we could learn from. The boss's ability to think big also stems from his positive thinking. While we can't change what happens to us in life, we have a fair measure of control over our own thinking. You are what you think you are. With enough conviction, you can even think yourself into the boss. You can change the way you think, and you can change your reactions to life. Don't underestimate the tremendous power of your own thinking. The world is shaped by the thoughts you choose to focus on the most. You have the power to change your reactions, expectations, and attitude. Like the boss, choose to see the positive, and life will be full of sunshine and laughter. You deserve to achieve big. Have fun chasing your dream and sharing the joy with the people around you. When you look back on your life at the end of your journey, most likely you won't be asking yourself how much money you've made or how many fancy cars or properties you managed to collect. Real wealth, instead, is measured by relationships with your gang members, loved ones, community, and God. Wealth is health and fitness, vibrancy, and boundless energy. Wealth is also freedom of choice, freedom to live how you want to live, freedom from bosses and pressures of money, to pursue dreams and impact lives. Realizing your dreams can be a blast, and it's certainly rewarding to feel financially secure, but surely you have plenty of regrets if you forget to have fun and live an adventure. Mindset number 4. Master your fear and develop an abundance mindset. The boss is a fearless leader of the 3rd Street Saints, single-handedly hip-firing at a bunch of SWAT while hanging on a bank fort hooked up by a helicopter, jumping off a cargo plane and fighting members of the Morningstar midair, flying through the oncoming plane before catching Shawnee in his arms once again, infiltrating enemy stronghold, waking up naked as a sex slave in a brothel owned by the Morningstar to let the Saints in and fight his way out. These are the crazy and fearless shit the boss would risk his life doing for the Saints. As mentioned in the previous point, his positive big thinking allows him to see only opportunities and solutions. Any negative or fearful thoughts are quickly rejected to maintain his abundance mindset.
I'll fuck with whoever I want to fuck with.
Even the Saints were ripped off all their money after they landed in Steelport. The boss keeps having faith in his ability and figure out ways to make even more. He sets his standards high and believes in expansion, sees the future of the Saints as very promising. The boss focuses only on maximizing the unique skills and strengths of his gang members.
You sure you can handle flying that?
I don't tell you how to hack, you don't tell me how to fly an attack chopper.
Makes sense.
He believes he's the best and competes with the best.
Pierce, we've waited long enough. Now we go for Loren.
It won't be easy. That whole tower's gotta be crawling with Morningstar.
Since when have we done things the easy way?
He never overplanned and is not afraid of making mistakes. They can be rectified through another bold action. After the boss recruited ex-professional wrestler Angel De La Morte as his lieutenant, Angel also helped coach the boss to master his fear, so that the boss can develop an invincible mental toughness, becoming even more unbreakable before he's ready to face Killbane in a wrestling match.
Don't lose the message in the method. You mastered your fear.
In our lives, we all want to be bold and fearless like the boss, but some parts within us hold us back from being our best selves. Because deep in our psyche, we are inevitably split into two selves, a weaker self who is an inner villain, and a stronger self who is an inner hero. It takes practice to enter action with boldness and master your fear by choosing to tap into the inner hero, by focusing on our strengths and becoming even better at what we are naturally good at.
You're a natural at this, Pierce.
It makes us larger and even more powerful than we are, giving us the confidence to be our best. It is the voice of the inner villain that instills in us self-doubt and tries to convince us we are less than we could be. The voice that says we should be working on our weaknesses, that says we don't have enough and lower our standard of thinking to scarcity mindset. The fear of not having enough money is one of the tactics the inner villain keeps people trapped in poverty. People with true abundance never worry about having enough. Look at the Saints, the boss, Shawnee, Pierce, Zemos. Not a single one among them is a miser. The Saints understood that money has to circulate to bring power. What money should buy is not shiny things or sex, but power and influence over people. The inner villain also loves the perverse pleasure in making ourselves feel miserable and makes us engage in acts of self-sabotage and self-destructive behaviors.
Tell me where Zemos is or I'm gonna beat you stupid.
Oh, yes!
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
The manager's upstairs. Hey, no! Just take me. I've been bad.
All weaknesses and insecurities come from our inner villain. It makes us accept the comfort of our status quo and fearful of the unknown, the next level of our true self.
I could have been at home on my computer, but no. Someone suggested that I grow as a person.
True security is a byproduct of the courage to pursue success. We all have insecurities and somehow feel ashamed and believe we are not worthy of great things.
Seriously, man, if you want, I can find you like a curtain or something for you,
The human body is nothing to be ashamed of, unless you have insecurities.
I'm good.
We are never truly free until we break the chains of fear and limiting beliefs. Jealousy is also a sign of insecurity.
So we're getting a shitty fet.
Oh, don't start hating because we're getting a new girl.
Are you serious?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
I'm not jealous.
Who said jealous? That's all on you, girl.
Oh my god.
Defeat the inner villain with positive thinking. Transcend your insecurities, envy, and start thinking like the boss. Get after what you truly deserve in life. No more hesitation, no more compromise. Life is a game, and it's such a waste to be dominated by fear instead of enjoying it fully. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and found the boss's success rules and mindset helpful to your everyday life. Please click that like button and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.